Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Between the Sharks. Here we are at the ranch once again. This thing is starting to kill me a little bit. This channel used to be all about working on cars. Lately, it's become man versus shrubbery. And today, it's still man versus shrubbery. But today, we might make something exceptionally dangerous, worthy of the pages of Farm Show magazine. So stay tuned, this might get good. Once again, we're starting our journey in the hall of derelict lawnmowers. Had my eye on this guy. He's missing some parts and pieces, but this is the same mower contraption we had some luck with when we built the bush hog. I'm thinking about doing something similar, but scarier. Yeah. Anything ouchy or bitey under there? Oh, okay. Okay, here we go. Before we get too far with it, we're gonna do a little field diagnostics. That contraption's missing. Okay, it's stuck. Yeah, it's kind of stuck. Pop that off. That's all loose. None of that's good. All right, might have some compression. Just dumped all the oil out of the carburetor. That's okay, we do that around here. All right. It's good enough that we may continue to work with it. It might work. Probably doesn't want to. We can try it. How bad is this? I'm getting destroyed by mosquitoes. What on earth? I don't even know what that is. I guess water? Huh. Okay. Perfect. We're gonna bring this derelict POS back to the shop, where there's more tools and more dog, importantly. We'll see you there. Not gonna lie to you fellas, we're back on home turf, but I'm really starting to miss working on this thing. So we're gonna have to carve out some time sooner than later, which I've been particularly bad at, as much as I advocate for, like, you know, finding some time for yourself to do the things that you like. But some light up in this joint. Anyway, it's not that I'm not enjoying what I'm doing now. Just saying. Model T's cool. Gotta accessify this machine here. This is yet another one of the abandoned lawnmowers from Lawnmower Alley. If you guys have been following along, you may realize that I am in a battle against the jungle of North Georgia. And I'm losing. First glance, this thing is missing some bits and bobs. It's missing the hold them down or let them go or shut them offer. We got a little bit of loose action right here, which is missing a doodad right there. And then we seem to be missing all of our springs, which I probably have a thingamadoodle full of springs around here. So a couple of you fellas in the bush hog video left some comments about just buying a whole new carburation setup. And believe you me, I did. I don't know where it is right now, but we still got to pull this off and then kind of see if we can clean it out anyway, because why not? If it works, we'll let it work. Now, if I give the old blade a whirl, it does sound like it has compression, which somebody also in the comments said, hey dude, pull the spark plug, because if that thing barks off and your hand's in there, well, that'd be a bummer. And they're right, so I did. Thanks, whoever that was. I may be engaging in classic dude math here, where I feel like if I spend enough time and effort fixing these things and fighting back the weeds, somehow the end result will be a savings in money, despite the thousands of hours I may have in this situation. That's the wrong bolt. As you were. So I've been building tools and testing methods, kind of like firing warning shots, you know? Testing the fortitude of that jungle. And I'll tell you what, it's stout, man. I'm hardly making a dent. So what we're doing here It's basically building an army of zombie mutant mowers to try to like help us take care of some of that business. This is full of goo. So all these mowers are getting, you know, modified, but not until they're brought back from the dead. So I feel a little bit like Dr. Frankenstein here.
Frankenstein? That's ridiculous.
Let's see what we got going on. Yep, that's something. Got chunks in it. I mean, it's mostly water. It smells a little bit like there might have been fuel in there at one point, but we might be able to clean it out. Like I said, I bought another one of these, but they were 30 American dollars, so I don't know if I want to invest all that in this yet. Huh, primer bulb works on this one. Who would have thunk it? I just tore that lid right off. It's one way to do it, fellas. I don't know, gang. It might work. It was not going to, I can tell you that much. It was plugged up. All this effort and all the brake clean and the mess I just made, it's definitely worth saving the 25 or 30 bucks I spent on the new carburetor and fuel tank. You gotta go check my rubber doohickey pile. I mean, I can probably make something work with a piece of fuel line, right? Sure. Look at that foolishness. Goonies never say die. All right, we gotta figure out what's in the turn them off them contraption back here. I assume it's some kind of grounding situation that you know, unground to make it work and then ground to make it go. Because I believe stopping this thing is more important than starting it. Okay, yep. Needs to have a thingamadoodle. Come right up. Now I'm sure we can do better, but it's just like pulling the pin on a grenade. It'll work for now. So at this point, we got this contraption kind of working. That's jury-rigged, and I feel like we just need to bolt this in and see what happens. In theory, it could run, and if it runs, well, then it's worth moving forward and making it better. All right, let's see how bad this little fella is. For a moment, I had visions of breaking it off. It's not bad at all. We haven't been at it all that long, but it might be about time to throw some fuel in it and see if it'll, you know, do lawnmower. Oh, we need springs. Slow down. According to my calculations, that ought to be perfect. In fact, I have no idea. Beyond all expectation, it's time to drop this thing back down on the ground, put fuel in it, and see if it'll run. If it'll run, well, then the real fun begins.
Oh, I can't wait.
Shooting fuel outside there, that's not how that's supposed to go. All right, well, we'll just try it anyway.
Not happening.
It didn't really want to, but that doesn't mean it's not gonna. This is definitely becoming a tomorrow project. It's now 10 o'clock at night, worked all day, and now we're talking about like trying to get a lawnmower running inside a garage so you guys can see it with my little grenade pin to try to turn it off. Let's say tomorrow is a better time for this. We'll see you then. Be like right now. Bam, we're back. It's the future. Where were we? So we did a little cleaning in the carburetor and all that stuff. I realize now I did not clean under the diaphragm, but I don't think it's a fuel issue because I poured some down the yap and it did not bark off. I think we have a spark issue. Now, I did not clean the spark plug and my little, you know, stop a fire. I'm thinking that's enough that it's released, that's not making contact, but we'll double check that. We'll try again. Now, I'm also thinking it's spark because I may be being misled by observation. This was loose, so they may have been getting in here to clean out the points, contact, magneto, medulla in here. So we'll check that too. But obviously we're just gonna pull the ripcord and see what happens, because now it's morning. Just poured a little right down in the drink. Not getting any signs of life, really. Getting signs of compression, but not signs of life. I got some Earl coming out of the muffleifier because I flipped it over. So maybe I should pull the plug and do the again and clear all that out. Let's see if this fires all over the garage floor, which I bet it will. Nope. All right, guess cylinder is clear. Let's clean the spark plug. At least it sounds like it's got compression. Really wasn't that bad. Gap looks okay by eyeball. Sure. Once more. Really getting nuts. Have the old spark testilator on there. We'll see if this works. I'm gonna turn out the lights so it makes it easier for everybody to see if it works or it'll just stay dark if it doesn't. There we go. Look at that. So now that we know we got spark, that leaves fuel, compression, and timing, and I guess the whole system could have somehow sheared some kind of key or whatever, and the timing could be off, but I find that very unlikely, just because I want it to be unlikely. And I feel like I'm getting fuel right down the app, so I wonder what I'm missing here. This contraption seems to be working, otherwise we wouldn't have spark. So maybe I didn't dump the fuel tank out enough, but dumping fuel down the app ought to be enough to get it to bark off. Right? She's out there helping the fire trucks. Greatest dog in the world, always sings with the fire trucks to help them out. Yeah, buddy. All right. Pulled the spark plug here. We're gonna see if this thing will, if we can see if this thing will spark. I guess just because we have juice to this end, we may as well check and make sure the spark plug's sparkulating. Get some spark plug holder in placer. There we go. Yep. Same trick. Oh, Jesus, sparking. Okay, we got spark. And that was a blue spark. So I spent some money on the old interweb, so we may as well, you know, take advantage. We may as well use the convenience tax we've already paid. It's got spark. Something catastrophic could have happened, and it does, like, it sounds like it's got compression, but if the timing is off, but I believe that's keyed and attached to the flywheel, and it just seems so unlikely. So it might be worthwhile to go ahead and jam on this new contraption. Cool thing is this came with a spark plug. It came with new Jimmy Jams, and it came with this air cleaner. So I think I paid 25 bucks for all of it, which means if this is the style of bulb, we can fix the bulb on the other machine that we already dealt with, which sure looks like it. Not really sure what's wrong with me, but I want to give that carburetor one more go, and I don't know why. It just feels like it should work. So let me get in there, see what I didn't do last night, try once more. I guess the other thing is, why isn't it barking off when there's fuel in the carburetor? That should be happening. So what are we missing there? It seems to have enough compression to shove the oil out of the cylinder and out of the muffler from when I flipped it upside down. Yes, I know flipping it upside down is not like best practices, but look at it, for crying out loud. So, because I got the new parts sitting over there, let's just slap on the new tank and carburetor and see if that does anything, because I got it right here. Like, you know, yes, this counts as throwing parts at it if you're wondering, because my brain pan says it should be barking off with fuel in the yap, may not keep running, but it should fire, and it's not. So that's on, took about seconds. So I'm gonna go ahead and jam some fuel right down the yap and try this again before we fill the fuel tank, because if this isn't it, then we gotta scratch our minds and think about stuff. That ought to be enough to do something. But it's not. Who have I become? Yes, apparently we're about to test compression on a lawnmower. Oy, oy. Hot rods is one thing, gang. This is getting out of hand. I don't know, 75 PSI? That jumped it up to close to 90. I don't know what they're supposed to be. The saga continues. We got about 90 PSI, not cranking crazy hard on it. That ought to be enough to make it cough. So I guess it's possible that we've sheared the flywheel key. This was loose. Maybe somebody was getting into it. Because I'm an idiot, I'm gonna spend a whole day on a junk mower. Let's take it apart and find out what's in there. So at this point, this junk motor has spark, has compression, and has fuel, because I'm pouring it right down the yap. Now, this whole situation was loose when we started this project. So my theory now is that it has a sheared flywheel key, or partially sheared, which has the timing all messed up. Because if it's got all those things, just not at the right time, well, that would explain our situation here. Because we haven't so much as gotten a puff of smoke out of this thing, so something is not right. So we had a really hot, dry June, and that was really keeping some of the plant life at bay. That is all shifted, gang. It is 100% humidity, but it's still 90 degrees, and it's not even 11 in the morning. This also looks right. I would assume if that key was sheared, we would not see this lining up with this the way that it's lining up. I guess I can clean these magnets while we're in here, you know, but don't get it, gang. Don't get it yet. Because that keyway definitely is lining up with this thingamadoodle right here. Dog fell over. Right, dog, it's hot out here. I mean, we definitely had spark, but cleaning this up is not gonna hurt nothing. It's primed. Nothing. What are we missing? The world is full of mysterious and unexplainable things, so the carb kit came with this brand new El Cheapo spark plug. So I guess we're gonna replace a champion with this junk and see if it works, because if junk works, then we like the junk. Again, we did test this thing and I was getting a blue spark out of it, but I'm kind of at a loss here. Mostly because it's not doing anything, like not even barking a little bit, which that feels weird. So let's try now. Well, that was interesting. My grenade pin pulling thing did not work. So that's a problem. Kind of ran away a little bit. I don't know if it just blew itself up or not, but yeah, we're gonna need a new method to shut it off. Seriously, that's all it was. So this is like almost worthy of its own video, but I don't know how to do that because we replaced everything, we checked everything, and the spark plug, even though we grounded it to the case, was fine. Now it's not. Like one cheap spark plug away, and now it fired right up and ran away. So my kill switch mechanism didn't work. Now it did work in the sense that it pulled out, but this didn't ground it. So I'm thinking I don't want to be in here to do that anyway, so I may pull this wire out and see if we can just wire in a kill switch, just so, you know, for safety's sake and whatever else, we can shut the engine down without getting all up in it, you know what I mean? So in theory, this is supposed to ground the magneto, thus stopping the spark. Didn't seem to do that, so it's all still connected. Maybe we can just kind of attachify it to this, and we'll find a spot to ground it, maybe right there, and then hopefully we're cooking with peanut oil. We got this, I think, maybe, I don't know. Next question is, can we make this work? Oh, probably. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? Let's see. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's so close. Do we bend it or drill it? We bend it. How about it? Maybe we gotta drill it. Son of a, we'll get it though. Shockingly, I'm going to use green for ground, and I'm going to solder it because this is going to get more and more dangerous as we go, and I really do want to be able to shut it off safely. And I'm going to leave a bunch of lead on there so that we can relocate this at some point if necessary. These things are a must have, these little dragon monsters. I usually lose them because I use them so often, so then I end up using like the cheapest crimpers ever. Speaking of, I bought this. Never used it because it's in the package. We're gonna try it out because I got these and they usually suck. So you're supposed to be able to just jam it in the thingamadoodle, crimp it down, and then it releases when it's got the right tension. So let's see if it'll work. Huh. Well, hot dog. 25 bucks well spent. I think there's some irony in the fact that the right solution was indeed to throw parts at it, which, you know, most people say is not the right solution. Cool, crimped. Let's hook it up to our switch, see if it works. All right, very little has made sense today. So we tested the Champion spark plug, it made a blue spark, did not fire the engine. Put this El Cheapo spark plug in, kablooey, she fired right off. So I put this switch in and I've got continuity on both sides of the switch no matter what I do with the switch. I chased it all the way back to the coil. The coil itself seems grounded. Now this thing magically shut itself off. Maybe the coil went kaput. I don't know what I'm doing. That shouldn't surprise you, and it has not stopped me from doing whatever I'm doing yet. So I'm gonna see if I can get this to fire up. And if this will fire up, more strange things that I don't understand are happening. If it won't, I'm gonna start to believe that the coil is what killed the engine when it was like doing runaway engine stuff and then failed. We also saw that this little flappy medular governor thing seems to be intact in there. So I have decreased the spring tension, so maybe that will keep it from going full runaway if it starts. There's very little fuel in here. Welding glove so I can turn her off by pulling the plug without getting zappified. All right, we're gonna prime it. It's working. By all measures of calculation and science, this shouldn't run because the coil should be grounded. I don't know if it will or not. We're gonna find out though. What did I break in here? Putting this thing back together. Something? Nothing? Definitely sheared a bolt off. Great. Cool. Here we go. I don't know why that's working, but it's working. I'll take a win where there's a win. Somebody explain that in the comments, please. But it's working. All right. Now we can get dangerous. So here comes the really fun part. Now that this is running, we're going to try to attach this to the mini excavator. I'm going to try to figure out a system to bolt it to the bucket because I want kind of like a quick release situation. Yeah, you heard that right. Inconceivably, this has been in the back of the yard forever, and it almost kind of fits. It used to be the stand for that smoker over there when it was a vertical smoker and didn't work at all. So we turned it into a horizontal smoker and it works great now. But this is sitting around and it's almost, you know, see what I'm saying? We gotta go look at the mini excavator, figure out how to do this. So this might actually work. The plan here is very, very loose. But the idea was to use the bolt holes that are bolting on these side teeth things to bolt this mower contraption to the situation. Now, you guys may be like, oh, there's things out there for sale that do this, and they're outrageously expensive, and I don't really know if they work with these machines. I'm on a slow burn of discovery trying to figure out exactly what the hydraulics are in these machines and what the accessories can run, because if you need spinny stuff, you need a lot of hydraulic fluid, gallons per minute, whatever. Flow rates are important, all of that stuff. And I just don't know what either one of these machines have. So if you have information on that, you know, that'd be great. When I figure it out, we'll do a video all about it, but I am still working on it. The other thing about this is I don't want to have to take the bucket off, switch hydraulic lines from the accessories up here to this contraption for what I need. Now let's talk about what we're doing here. Now a lot of this stuff we can do with a chainsaw on a stick, aka pruning saw. We'll be able to run around and do it. But my hope is if this machine works, if we have a bush hog on the end of an excavator, we can get a little higher up into some of these things and kind of like mulch them on the way down. That may be wishful thinking, but you know, it might work. I don't know. That's what we're gonna find out. Now, I did build the other bush hog and it's pretty nimble and get into some small spaces, but we got a lot going on here that isn't small spaces. Also, with this setup, I think we want to build something that's fixed to the bucket so that we can articulate it. You know, the ideal tool for this situation is probably like a forestry drum mulcher, because those things are rad, but those things cost more than all the equipment in this shop doubled. And I don't know if either one of these machines can run one of those with the gallons per minute and all of the things that it needs to clobber everything in its path. So we're gonna make this backwoods bub it up version is what we're gonna do. See if it works. So just generally, we're somewhere between 14¼ and 15 where the bolt holes are for these teeth. And this thing is 15 inches across. So we're in pretty good shape. I'm pretty confident that if I can attach this to that mower, we can make some bracketries that come off of this that will attach to that. And I'm sure that we can make it all strong enough to hold together. So that's pretty exciting, actually. It's a little frustrating that this is so close and yet so far away. It would work if I took the wheels off, but I don't want to take the wheels off because I just dragged this thing across the yard 4 times. So I'm just looking to get there as quickly as we can and not really impede the function. So I think I'll just cut these, shorten it so that I got the 2 posts back here and then essentially 2 posts right there. Best part is it fits in here. If you guys haven't jumped on one of these yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. Not sponsored, it's just a good tool, gang. I feel like they've discontinued this model and it's super cheap right now. So I've just been kind of rocking it around, trying to figure out where it feels solid. That still seems pretty good. Might be able to get fuel in it, whatever. We need a funnel. It's gonna be fine. But that's pretty even-ish, you know, and this will function as a brush guard to help keep things off the spark plug, I feel like. So even if we decide to, which I think I'm gonna decide to, do the plasma cutter opening here, yeah, this should be, I think this ought to work pretty good. So I guess we'll mark it and start cleaning up, because we need these welds to be actually legit welds, not just your average bub it up bubblegum welds, because, well, if this thing goes flying off, that could be even more dangerous than intended. Yoink! Just giving it kind of a one last once over here. I do want this thing to remain serviceable, but you know, what does serviceable mean when you're making a contraption like this? Does anybody even know? Guess if I had to, I think the engine could come out. Would I ever replace the engine? Probably not. Let me not jinx that, please. All right, gang, we about got her there. She is not pretty, but remember, this is like Mad Max, or maybe like Death Race Backwoods Edition, because it's a lawnmower. Gang, it's 2:15 already. We started this early. I don't know what time, but it was before 9 o'clock. Time flies when you're having fun. I will say, it is easy to forget the frustration of this morning when you have a little bit of success. I mean, you guys saw the spark in the spark plug. Why it didn't do sparkification in the machine, I just don't know. Whew, and it's hot. So while the air compressor is winding up to run the plasma cutter, I use Unistrut washers for all sorts of stuff because they're butch and they're drilled and you can get them in different hole sizes. So I'm gonna weld this thing in here while we're all geared up for it so that we can move the switch out to here. Be a little safer, it'll be protected in here, should be good to go, but that allows us to stay back from this machine that'll be spinning all about. Hiya! Man, that's ugly. It's fine. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to rock back over to the other place and figure out how this is gonna work with bracketries and stuff. And I think everything's got to come with us, which is a little bit of a bummer. I just grabbed these two because I have them. There's a bunch of plate steel and a bunch of other stuff. This would be a lot easier to do in place, but I don't have a method to move the excavator here. And I don't really want to go through the process of packing up a welder and going over there. So I might regret that and spend twice the time to do twice the amount of work, because I don't feel like hauling this over right now. I'm gonna go ahead and freehand this cut with the plasma cutter, and then we'll go figure out the bracketries after that, considering this is mostly set up. Last time I did this, I was also cutting a lawnmower exactly like this, so hopefully the settings are okay. So I'm glad we kept the wheels on it because we are boogieing back to the other house, and well, that's pretty helpful. We'll see you over there. All right, guess we gotta fire this thing up. We'll slide this under and just kind of test fit it. I was gonna do it all by measuring, but we're standing right here. I'm just trying to find a sweet spot, like where I can get to this You know, something like that. And then we'll center it up. It's pretty close to centered, actually. And essentially, we just need a bracket that comes up off the side and bolts on. What's the best way now that we're looking right at it? So at this point, I think I can just come off the side with some plate, just capture this bolt spacing, 10 inches total. These bolts are spaced at 2 inches. I gotta write that down. Let's go make it. Well, we got some plate. That'll do. I feel like this angle iron would be way better. Not that I want to drill holes in. Oh, look, wait a minute. Wait a minute. What are you? That is some stout angle covered in spiders. Okay, great. All right. Out of control. So I'm measuring up from the bottom because that way if this is lined up, in theory they'll both be even. Now, I don't know how true any of that is, if I'm being honest. You spend a little too much time with lawnmowers, you start to notice like how interesting the curves of the stamping of like the, whatever you call the body chassis thing is, where the blade goes. It's not a symmetrical situation is what I'm saying. It's 15 on the nose. Hopefully that'll fit. Should fit. We measured it. Smart thing to do would be to tack weld it, go fit it. But I feel like we're just going to weld the snot out of it and waller out the holes if we have to. Feels like a plan. Getting that feeling that this sloppiness is going to bite me. I'm not really sure why. Probably because it is. All that experience, gentlemen. It's like seeing the future. All right. I'm kind of excited about it. A little worried I just welded the snot out of it in the wrong spot, but you know. As ridiculous as this thing is, I'm pretty excited about it. I think the angle was the right choice. That should allow this thing to stay rigid enough, but this piece right yonder ought to do the trick to keep it from going side to side. You know, if we want to swing it through some brush and do karate like that, that ought to stiffen her right up. Not gonna lie to you guys, there was a moment where I thought I could just do it with ratchet straps. That would have been dumb. But I thought about it. Moment of truth. Gang, this might just work. Alright. So right here, this cutting edge is stopping us right there. Let's see if we can just wrestle it. I don't know if we can or not. Pooh. See if we can make it work. can try it with one bolt, just be careful. We'll just, you know, we'll experiment, but we'll be gentle about our experiments. However gentle you can be with a lawnmower on a stick. Totally safe. See if we can pop off the quick release handle. All right. So I've been thinking about this for a while. So I am both excited and nervous about this foray into redneckery. Dumb or brilliant, maybe a little bit of both. I just don't know if it's more dumb than brilliant, or more brilliant than dumb. Well, this is it. Moment of truth. I'm a little nervous, not gonna lie. So we gotta see if this thing will fire up. It's got fuel in it, got the kill switch on it, and then we're gonna see what it'll do to this stuff. I'm pretty excited about it, but you know what I'm saying. It's a little dangerous. Guess we just gotta stay away from the business end. On. So I don't know why the mower shut off, but we'll find out. I will say it's working. I'm being kind of gentle with it, but I'm also wearing ear protection, so I couldn't hear the mower. just had this feeling that it got quieter. So, but yeah, this did some wrecking. Well, I rattled a bolt out, and so I tried to restart it, and the whole thing came loose. I'd run out of gas over there on that part, but the short version is it works. It took this stuff out. I didn't have to get all up in there. It was sort of like exploratory. Now I can already see where this attachment, making a bracket to put it on the mini skid steer, would be great for this low stuff where I'm trying to like skirt around a building. But this does work. Part of the reason I was excited about this is at some point I do kind of need to get up high and start knocking all that stuff back. That's why we start with the mini excavator. But for our experimental trial run, we needed a freebie where we weren't lifting this thing way up high and over our heads and all that stuff. But I will say this is pretty successful. I mean, this lawnmower had been left for dead for 17 years. I know I say that a lot, but everything around here has been left for dead for 17 years. And most importantly, I have made something dangerous enough for Farm Show magazine. My buddy Bill Jones would be very proud of me right now, because this is, you know. So what we've made here, ladies and gentlemen, is essentially a poor man's forestry mulcher slash bush hog. And those attachments are outrageously expensive and not really available for these machines yet that I am aware of. But if you go the next level up in machine, you know, to like a real one or a real Bobcat, and look at a forestry mulcher, they're in the $15,000 to $25,000 range. Now, obviously, this thing doesn't perform nearly as well as those, but for what we need to do here, this tool, I believe, will absolutely be helpful in clearing this stuff out. Like, really helpful, more so than just the push one that we built already, mostly because we can kind of get in here and work up to down and see what's under there. Because even looking in this area, right, we found cinder blocks. There's a weird pulley with a cable, which, you know, who knows. So I'm gonna spend a little time off camera getting this mower dialed in, because it's just a lawnmower that we brought back to life that needs a little bit of tuning. If you're into this stuff or you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing, because at this point we've just about built and gathered and assembled and zombified and mutantified enough lawnmowers and lawn tractors and all that stuff to start clearing around the edge of this building, see if we can uncover it and maybe get inside it. This was the last one on my list of things I was pretty sure we were gonna need in order to expedite all of this stuff. So I'm pretty excited. I've been thinking about doing this for a while. I'm glad I got around to it. And I've got, I think, all of 26 American dollars in a carburetor I probably didn't need. Although if I had not had the spare carburetor, I would not have had the spare spark plug, and I would not have just tried it on a lark, which turned out to be the problem, despite the fact that we saw the other plug sparking. It did all of that. It used to look like that. I mean, and that's about 1.5 inches, so, you know, it could do some damage for just a little 5 horsepower, tired, left behind, old Brings It Stratton lawnmower, so I'm happy with it. So, can't leave well enough alone. I think I got it back together. Lock washers, all that jazz. Springs kind of sprung up to go wide open, which I think is right for the situation. Let's see how she does. Too much springitude. Let's bring her back in. Reel it in. Reel it in. Try that version. Bad. Kill switch works like a charm. Can stay out of the way of the business end. Not bad. Back in business. Ready to go back on the machine and do some more karate. Good luck on your projects out there. We'll see you next time. Between the Sharks, signing off.